heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven. Comes with the clouds of heaven.
If not, we'll be talking to you tonight, talking about a lot of different things tonight. And so hopefully you can, you know, get some real information that will help you. And we're going to talk about some really cool things tonight. So get ready for some of that. Yeah. Uh, okay, so let's go for this thing. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're setting up tonight, getting ready to do some major operation stuff, in my opinion, at least. So if you're interested in what's going on and what's about to happen, you may be really excited to know. Let's see. There we go. All right, you may be excited to know we have some really cool information tonight that will hopefully help you with understanding what's going on and what's about to go on. All right, so there you go. Where the camera go? There we go. All right, so we are here and we are live, and that is really good to know. Okay, trying to kind of get cleaned up here a little bit and get going. So thank you for being patient with me tonight, as I'm just glad I made it here for sure, and all is well. All right, we're going to talk about some really cool things tonight. I've got some video for you also if you want to watch the video. We're going to get that going on here in a minute. And yeah, get all that working for you. All right, let's go back here. This is the one. Okay. Great. All right. Begin that here. Let's see. Not the one that I wanted. All right. Sorry, I'm running just a little bit behind here, but we're going to get it. Thank you, Jesus. All right. We are here. All right. So we are doing all kinds of things tonight, and believe in God for the right thing to come out. I don't have the right thing yet. Get that going on. Okay. Yeah. Something's up here. Trying to mess with the stuff. Okay. Probably just me. All right. All right. Good to be here tonight again, and we're going to be uh, talking about the Rothschilds again, some very specific details on how it's all going to happen, and giving it a real chance for everyone to kind of see what's going on and how this stuff works. Just have it in there good. All right, so let's get it going. What do you say? Yeah. All right. There's no need either. There we go. All right. I think I got it. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, so let's get into this real quick. We're going to get into some of the book of Revelation a little bit and share some things out of that with you guys. So hopefully you're ready for that. We are looking at all kinds of things and trying to find out exactly what that's at. Okay. I have to have my information, right? All right, there we go. All right, so we're going to talk about the prophetic process of how things are going to go on. And so, what I'd really like to talk about tonight is the first 3.5 years, how that's going to happen since we're getting close to that. Now that we have the red heifer ashes, we were kind of ready to roll forward with a lot of things. And all right, there we go. Kind of going to be exciting to see how it all unfolds. We're going to try to tell you as much about how it's going to unfold as we can. So that's what I'm here for tonight. I'm going to try my best to do that for you. So we are looking at, now that we have the ashes of the red heifer, we're going to talk about how the first 3.5 years, and they're going to progress into the last 3.5 years. And I have some video for all that, so it's going to be pretty cool. So if you can get in on some of that, that would be awesome. If you can't, you can just listen to the audio. Yeah. All right. So there we go. All right, so phase one, we're calling this phase one tonight, and it is the first 3.5 years of the tribulation, and not the Great Tribulation, but the tribulation, right? So we're going to kind of talk on that a little bit and kind of give you what's up with that, seeing how it's all going to come together so you can kind of be prepared for it. It's not as bad as you think, really. It's kind of cool in some ways, and we're going to go through that step by step here and enter into that thing where we can kind of figure out what's happening. When it begins to happen, we'll be able to recognize it to a certain degree. All right. And yeah, so let's just do it. All right, I'm still trying to line up a couple things here. So that's good for now. Let's go to phase one right now. We're going to go to phase one and kind of talk about that. Um, Israel, we know that Israel is almost has peace, right? Y'all are aware of that, that Israel almost already has peace. And as far as getting it under control, peace is pretty much what's happening right now because they're dealing with Hamas. They're dealing with all their enemies, and they've been surrounded by these enemies for a long time. And most people have been prophesying that because they're surrounded by their enemies, but they've been defeating their enemies. So we got to start getting that kind of in the equation of how that Israel has been defeating its enemies, and it's about to have peace in a very cool way. And so, and because we kind of understand that and start seeing how that the purpose for that is so they can build a temple. So now we have the red heifer ashes, which is really mind-boggling when you think about it. Totally, totally mind-boggling that we actually have the ashes of red heifer that are ready. So we don't need all that stuff personally to be saved or to be right with God. It has nothing to do with that. It's a very important thing, but it's not something that we particularly need individually. But for the process of the future and the process of God moving forward with what's going to happen, uh, the whole peace thing, as we know, we've talked about peace, and sudden destruction for quite a while, and how that works. And so we're kind of going to have some of that going on, and yeah. So let's just get into this. Um, so we're going to talk about how Israel finally gets peace to build the temple. That's what we're going to focus on right now. All right, so uh, we're really kind of at the very beginning of this timeline, right? Uh, and step one is Israel finally achieving complete regional peace. You know, taking down Hamas and Hezbollah and even Iran. It's all going down at the same time. This is absolutely unbelievable what's happening. I mean, literally, they are about to have a regime change in Iran, just like we have prophesied, that is developing as we speak, and some heavy duty things going on with all that. So be praying for them because they've been oppressed by some really bad people for a long time, and we want to see all that change. Right? We want to see that change for them. So pray for Iran. All right. So they're really right there. Uh, they're still fighting Hamas, Iran, and others right now. Uh, a little bit. They're finishing things off. They have actually dealt a death blow to Hamas and all those places that have those terrorist organizations that have just been nothing but a torment to them, right? And so they have dealt a death blow to them. So that right there is so miraculous and so amazing that this has happened. And then we have the ashes of the red heifer. How could you ever line all that up at the same time? I mean, it's totally miraculous how all of this stuff is lined up at the same time. Generally within a few months of each other, which is totally unbelievable. A 2,000-year-old prophecy comes to pass, and we have the ashes of red heifer, and it's from Texas, from some of our friends, and we have connections with those people, and really, just it's amazing how intertwined that we are here at PGN with all this stuff, and it's about to unfold in a way. You're going to see the temple coming up pretty soon, and um, so let's look at. So step one really was the red heifer ashes. They're ready. That was step one as far as being able to move forward, because that's the temple construction green light. Really, right? It's the temple construction green light. Now they have a green light for the first time in 2,000 years, y'all, and we're living in this thing. It's amazing. But Israel still can't build because they're still surrounded by enemies that they haven't totally conquered yet. So they're in the process of conquering them, and it's really, really, really cool how it's all developing and it's all happening. So really pray for Israel right now. Pray for the peace of Israel, true peace. We know we're not going to have true peace for a while, but we're going to have a little bit of peace here for a season. And so the red heifer ashes we have. Now we can move forward with the construction on the third temple, which, as you guys remember, about 2 or 3 months before we had the red heifer ashes. We did a prophetic act right here on PGN that I told you I would build the temple by imagery, kind of like I do these right here, and we built them here and as a prophetic act. And 2 months later, what looked seemed impossible happened. I mean, it just didn't look like they were ever going to get together. If they had waited for peace, they still wouldn't have the red heifer ashes. Now, man, I don't have a red heifer. They got a bunch in the background, lined up in different places, but it just looked like that set of red heifers, which I prophesied was going to be. Some of you don't know this, but I actually prophesied to them that that red heifer was going to be the red heifer. And yeah, I prophesied that over a couple of different people that were heavily involved in it. When they found out it was born, I said, "That's the one. That's the one that's going to be the one." And so uh, we believe that has happened. So it's really really cool. So, but there still needs some peace, right? There still needs some peace. They knocked them in the head, basically, so to speak, taking them out of their PowerPoints, and now they're just finishing them off. So the next 6 to 12 months, the next 6 months to a year, uh, Hamas has to be completely eliminated or surrender, one or the other. No more Gaza threat. The Iran regime has to fall or be neutralized, and that's kind of what's actually literally happening now. No more death to Israel. You know how they do. The chance of death to Israel and the United States. So Hezbollah gets disarmed through international pressure. It looks like that's in the process of happening. And Syria gets a stable Israeli-friendly government. So those are the people that have been surrounding them for so long that have threatened them on a regular basis, right? That now has been basically knocked in the head, and so so they have so they're about to have that peace. That's what they're about to have. So that seems it's quite a bit to accomplish actually in a year, but they've already done most of it. So think about how fast things have already been moving. Hamas leadership is being systematically eliminated, literally, have been for a long time, and it's finishing it off. Iran's regime is facing massive internal pressure, and there's a lot of uh, they have a lot of the regime has a lot of enemies now on the inside that are taking them down and disarming them and disengaging them from and killing a lot of them because they're murderers. And so the dominoes are just falling pretty rapidly, actually, when you think about it. And again, we must always remind you that we have a 2,000-year-old prophecy that's come to pass, and that is the red heifer ashes. That is huge. You got to remember that that's one of the biggest. They could have had all this stuff going on, had peace, but if they didn't have a red heifer ashes, it would be to build the temple, it'd be worthless, right? So we got to think about how fast things have been moving, and it, so the significant thing about the temple getting approval, this is really uh, very very important that the Temple Institute, who is Byron Stinson works with, and who Byron connected them with, as well as others connected them with, the red heifer, and so that red heifer worked just like we prophesied. We prophesied that red heifer was going to work, and it did. And so it's really amazing, and we'll talk more about that in the future. But so this is really huge. For decades, Israeli government wouldn't let them build uh, because of security concerns, and especially since they've had the red heifer going on, in the background, ready to go since November of 2023. They've had the red heifer basically ready. So it's 2024, 25. So it's a miracle we have a red heifer. It is a miracle. So the region, but once regional threats are gone, and they're pretty close to that, there's no excuse left, right? The religious pressure to rebuild become overwhelming, right? So they now can do it if they want to do it, but the pressure is really there for the government to let them do it. So complete peace is really important for the temple because you can't really build the most important religious structure in the world in world history in 2,000 years. Oh, rockets are flying overhead, right? The temple requires international craftsmen, expensive materials, stuff that they've already had for a long time. And you get that stuff up there, and you bring out the menorah, and you bring out all the Ark of the Covenant and all that. You got to think about that. They got to have a pretty secure peace, and so that's kind of what is developing right now. And so you can see right here in my video that we're looking at peace for Israel. This is kind of like for the first time since 1948. There's going to be there's fixing to be historic peace. We're prophesying, we're declaring this. We know it's already going to happen, but we're kind of doing some imagery to help it along. Uh, so you can't build this 2,000-year-old uh, world history structure with rockets going off, right? So the temple requires international craftsmen, expensive materials, and total focus, right? One terrorist attack could destroy years of work, right? So they're going to have it safe, and protected, because that their enemies are going to want to stop that temple from going up. It's been feared for a long time, and the security that is going to be around this thing is going to be massive. But the fact that they have pretty well nailed, uh, you know, Gaza was a really big problem with Hamas shooting things all the time, and rockets and stuff. So that's pretty well been done. So we're thankful for that. Okay, so at the end of step one, uh, Israel's going to be completely safe. At the end of step one, we're at step one right now. So we're talking at the end of this step. We're looking at behind here historic peace. Isn't that great? Do they spell that? And so we have historic peace. Israel's going to have historic peace like never before. You're going to find out that the Temple Institute is going to be able to. It's gotten approval. We'll get approval to start building the temple. Once the peace has come. So for the first time since 1948, maybe in 2,000 years, Israel will be able to say we have no enemies threatening our borders. In 2,000 years, Israel can say for the first time, we have no enemies threatening our borders, right? And that's when the Temple Institute, the people who Byron Stinson's looked up to help them, get the government green light, and construction will begin, right? And that's kind of what this is right here. This is actually them getting the approval, and they pull out their plans, and they start putting it all together. And literally, they're looking right there at the temple, and they're just going to, the Temple Institute is going to be putting that together pretty quick like, and so it's going to be really amazing to see this happen. And so it's really, really exciting. That's the Temple Institute guys right there, and they're looking. This is kind of a future event. So when that peace comes and the government says, "Okay, you can start," taking a chance on putting all the precious, expensive temple ornaments and all the things in the temple and all this, it's very, very expensive, and like they're going to have peace for that to happen. So in 2,000 years, think about this, y'all. In 2,000 years, maybe in 2,000 years, Israel will be able to say, we have no enemies threatening our borders, right? And so that's when they get approval from the government. And we'll talk more about that later. But so this sets up kind of a financial crisis for step two. This is what I see happening. And so as you guys know, Texas and is putting together, with Donald Trump, the Texas hub financial system that is going to be up and running before too long. You can see how all of that coming together points to one thing, and that is a dollar collapse or a dollar failure or a dollar weakness. You can see that Donald Trump is working with Texas to get a gold backed currency, because they all know that the enemies of the U.S. and the enemies of the dollar are going to take it down. They're doing everything they can to do it. So what are they doing? They're for the first time in years, they're actually literally, after how many years they've threatened the dollar going down. For the first time ever, they have now put together a system with gold backed currency that tells you that they know how close it is to actually happen, the crash of the dollar. And when the dollar crashes, let me tell you something, y'all. Israel, we're talking about building the temple right now. Israel getting ready to do it. They got approval from the government. Let's go forward with this, and they've got most of it together. But then there's still a lot of expenses in finishing it up and getting it all together. It's going to be a major project, even though they have a lot of it together. But there's still so much more that has to be done, and so excuse me. And so you know, so that we're being set up really for a financial crisis, and Israel is very connected to the United States dollar. Every nation really has been. China and Russia have kind of backed out from it, and are going some different directions. So it doesn't really threaten them as bad anymore, but it still threatens them. So peace is expensive, right? As Israel was getting peace with all the weapons and the military and all the money that it will take to finish this job is enormous, right? So peace is expensive, very expensive. All these military operations, plus starting the temple project, plus normal government expenses, and then the dollar crashes, which you can smell it in the air. Israel goes from military victory to financial crisis almost overnight. Right when they're about to start building the temple, you see this thing starting to happen to where we don't know exactly the day, we don't know exactly when, but we can tell by the things that our government are doing very carefully in putting together the Texas gold backed currency as a net. So when the dollar crashes, we'll be more ready for it rather than it just devastating us. So that's what they're doing. They're preparing for that, and it's very very amazing. So we could see peace, I think, uh, by late 2025 this year or early 2026. And so right now, when is the uh, gold back currency for Texas going to be ready? They're saying to go into action at least in September of 2026, and I think they're going to do it before then. Early 2026 is we talked about mid 2026 a couple of years ago. That's when things are going to begin to manifest as far as the new currency, which now we're seeing it happen. The Lord spoke to us about that right here on the show. 2026, mid 2026, they're looking at a mid to late 2026, September. That's when the official date is. That is, been on the news and everything, pretty well documented. So you're looking at this thing. You can see how the temple being built and Israel having peace for the first time, having a 2,000-year-old prophecy that the red heifer, 2,000 years since they've had this much peace. This is one of the biggest signs that you can think of, Frank. Right. So if the current events wrap up in the next 6 to 12 months, uh, like military, the military analysis are expecting that. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So the red heifer ashes are already prepared. We're just waiting for the security situation to allow the temple construction to begin. And so what we're saying tonight, partially, I've got a lot more to say. Uh, Great song for the show. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Oh, great song for the show. You have to speak a little plainer to me tonight. You got a great song for the show. Testify. All right, great song for the show. Okay, I remember that. Jeff, thanks. Awesome. All right, so we're trying to kind of put this together for you, and you can see here. This is the future event that you see behind me. This is not something that's going on. This is not real. This is the temple people. Of course, they don't look like that. They look like a bunch of rabbis. Most of them. So I kind of got that together, but you can see the temple. They're starting to clean. They're going to be cleaning it up soon. It's one of the prophetic acts that we did. You can see the temple area, all the trees being moved around and that kind of thing. And so in the next 6 to 12 months, we're going to see the manifestation of a new currency. And you can see we're about to see the manifestation of a temple in Jerusalem. I mean, you can see that is actually coming together. Texas and the U.S. is actually preparing for the dollar crash by having this all set up, right? You got to look at the signs. And so we said by September of 20, May, the middle of September, May, June, July, that we're going to see a definite shift. Now they got it for September, but I think they're going to, I don't have any word for anybody. I don't know anybody that knows about this, but I think they're going to move it forward. We'll see what happens to May, June, July of 2026, where they activate the system. They're going to have to work it a little bit to make it strong, and they haven't done that yet. So we're looking at Israel starting to have some financial issues here in the middle of trying to build the temple. All of a sudden we have the dollar crash, and the fact that Israel is connected to the dollar, like a lot of their money comes from the United States. We supply them with a lot of money, and when the dollar crashes, there's going to be a shift in currency. There's going to be something shifting for them to keep getting help. So there's going to be a time where Israel is not going to really have our help, if you will. I mean, a little bit. But when our currency, when all that stuff happens, we're going to have to be like licking our own wounds and take care of ourselves for a little while, and working this process of the Texas hub satellite system, and getting it not only in Texas, it's already set up where it can go across the United States right now. That's actually been done by Donald Trump. He set that up with Elon. So Elon Musk will work together with us here in Texas, and we're going to see all this stuff happen. And you can see how it's kind of all just culminating at the same time. Red heifer ashes, 2,000 years. Israel basically has peace, and here in 6 months to a year, they're going to have real peace, maybe sooner. So we'll see what's going on with that. This is not a coincidence in the sovereignty of God that all this stuff is coming together, right? So if these current events wrap up in the next 12 months, like most military analysts say that they are, we're just waiting for Israel's security to say, start building that temple, and for it to be safe enough to do that, right? So the dollar that crashes basically devastates Israel. That's what it does. It devastates Israel, and Israel kind of comes under, they got peace, that things are going on, but then we have a financial situation going on where Israel, and the United States, we're not going to be able to supply and help them as much as we have before, because we're going to be kind of licking our wounds, if you will. And so this is an amazing thing. You can see the dollar crash there, and how it affects Israel and the temple building and all that just about the time they get it all ready. So it's another hindrance. So we're going to see, even though they're going to start building the temple, when the dollar crashes and that begins to develop, or the threat of it does, where everybody knows it's happening, it's going to be scary, especially for Israel, because we're focusing on Israel right now, because the temple is Bible. The temple, building the temple is biblical. It is the red heifer ashes were the biggest sign that we've had of a 2,000-year prophecy that is launching forth with great speed, the end times. That right there alone was such a major strategy of God that was being so attacked by the enemy that it was, people. I was beginning to wonder: are they ever going to have the red heifer ashes? When I told people about that we actually had red heifer ashes, they just kind of like, what? They kind of gave up on it. People just kind of like, well, it's not happening. There's too much trouble. And then we told you guys here on the show, a few months ago, that they have these things that you can work. If you have religious ceremonies that you need to do and you can't do it because of war, they can change the way you do it where it's not so public, right? We talked about that, 3 or 4 or 5 months ago. I remember how long ago it's been. And so what do? I don't have official news that's why they did it, but they made special, movements there to help Israel, to help the Temple Institute get that red heifer before we lost it. And it's the one that I had prophesied over personally, through a couple of people. I don't mention their names, but and told them that's the one. That is the red heifer. Y'all might have been on the show when we talked about it. We talked about that exactly, that exact thing. The red heifer, and I had prophesied to them about that. A couple of years ago. I can't remember exactly, but it's been a while back. So now that it's actually happened and is actually moving along pretty fast. Okay, so we can build the temple, and just about when it's about to happen, Israel thinks we can finally focus on the temple project, and the U.S. dollar crashes, or something around that. So we're talking about losing 40 to 60% of the value of the dollar. Almost, I don't know if it'll be overnight, but it's going to be hit pretty hard. But we're getting ready. Here's the good news: Donald Trump and Texas is getting ready for it with a net, right? So that's the beautiful part of this. So why does it hurt Israel so badly? Is because Israel's imports almost everything, 80% of their energy, and most of their food, all their construction materials, 80% of their energy, right? Did you know that? And most of their food, all their construction materials, when the dollar crashes, everything they buy from other countries becomes 3 to 5 times more expensive instantly. So you can see, the dollar just like falling, and they're trying to build the temple and get it going on. And so now we have another hindrance with the major thing that Israel has finally broke through to do. And then we're going to have, trouble with the dollar and trouble with the economy. And Israel is like I said, is 80% of their energy comes in and all their food, and construction materials. So come from, they import almost everything, not from the United States, but they import almost everything, 80%, right? So when the dollar crashes, that's going to cause everything to go up big time, right? So, so I'm going to try to give you a real world example of what this is going to look like. All right. So imagine you're buying groceries that normally cost $100, but suddenly they cost $400 to $500 because of currency collapse, right? What happens to Israel's entire economy. Food, fuel, building materials, everything, at least for a season, is because everything's going to shift, and it's going to cause them some real financial difficulties, right? So we're going to see that happen, and it's going to be really, really kind of scary. So their currency is the shekel, right? The shekel is what Israel has, and so they are going to be, the shekel crashes right along with the dollar, right? It'll crash right along with the dollar, and so you see Israel's shekel currency will crash right along with the dollar if all is normal, because Israel's economy is so tied to America, right? It's like a domino. It's like a domino effect. When the big currency falls, when the big dollar falls, the smaller dependent currencies fall with it, right? So it's going to, for a season, right in the middle of building. I'm going somewhere with this, so listen really closely. I'm leading up to something here. So I'm trying to kind of tell you generally overall with some specifics of what's going to happen and what you will see happening, what you're going to watch for with the manifestation of Nathaniel Rothschild's coming forth. That's where I'm going with all this. I'm preparing you for that. And this is all in the future. All these videos, these are not really happening. They're not really building that temple. That's our image maker making images of it, and it looks pretty cool. But it's so the shekel, the currency of Israel crashes, the dollar crashes, and so even though we're going to be somewhat ready, it's going to create some problems, and Israel, is going to be freaking out, right? So this is going to affect the temple construction specifically, right? The temple requires the finest materials from around the world, and even though they have a lot of it together, there's a lot more to it than just putting a bunch of stuff together, right? There's a lot more to it, and so they have special stones, which they have a lot of those stones, precious metals, expert craftsmen. Uh, you know, so when the cost increase goes up from 300 to 500%, the project becomes financially impossible with their crash currency. Right. So this may not be exactly the exact numbers, but we're looking at a general overall direction and how this is going to happen. So remember that some of the detailed information, percentages and all that may not be exactly right, but the overall general direction that it's all going to go, that's what I'm trying to show you. All right. So you have the they have peace. Israel has peace. Hamas, Gaza, Iran, they have now changed the regime, as we prophesied 15 months ago that was going to happen, and spoke specifically about the regime change in Iran, and so we're going to see that's going to happen. That's unbelievable. Nobody expected that. Nobody was ever dreamed that was going to happen. In the last year, it all began to like we said, we prophesied about it 14, 15 months ago, specifically that it was going to change and told you how specifically. And now we're seeing that literally happen. It's literally happening. Nobody saw that one coming. As far as everybody wants the regime change, but nobody knew when. But the Lord did, and He told me, and I told you, and we all knew. Uh, yeah. So now that Iran will be at peace, the one that fed all those other proxies, that fed them all and kept them going on, and still trying to do that a little bit. It's all going to dry up because they went for the root. Israel went for the root, the roots of the octopus or snake or whatever it is, and they went for the roots of it. And so all the other stuff's just going to dry up, which means peace. Now they got peace, but then they're licking their wounds from all the financial crisis of fighting and battling and all the things and the loans and the money and all that stuff that they went through, and the economy of Israel really slowing down because people can't go there and go see the sites. And so it's really done a number on the Israeli economy. And so I'm going somewhere with this, so just hang on. So they start building the temple, right? They get peace. They start doing with what they have, with the temple together, which is quite a bit. But in all truth, there's so much more to it, and I know the details of all it. But so the Israeli government finances are going to be a complete disaster. Their tax revenues are going to collapse because business can't afford to operate, but their expenses kind of explode because they have to pay international prices for everything. It's the worst possible combination, and it's all being set up for a reason. So I want you to listen to this. So can Israel just borrow money to get through this? Well, that's the question. But that's the final blow. International credit markets will freeze for them because of this dollar situation. A lot of things are going to freeze for a little while. Even if Texas has it ready and the United States has it ready, it's still going to cause, there's still going to be some shaking going on. And the shaking is going to go on right at the right time of the temple, and they're going to be stuck. Israel will be stuck. The temple will be, temporarily stuck a little bit there. And so the banks won't lend to a country whose currency just crashed and whose economy is in the free fall. This is not good. They're completely cut off from normal financing. So can they get loans? It's going to be really difficult to get loans, right? So Israel goes from military victory, which has been massive and amazing, to financial collapse in just about 6 months or so because of the timing of the dollar and all that. Is we've been being warned about that officially by our own government, telling us that they're getting ready for it because they're getting a Texas gold bullion backed currency, which tells you that they know. All right, so they defeat all their enemies. They get ready to build the temple, then discover they can't afford to buy food for their people, to a certain degree, let alone construct the most expensive building project in history. Of course, like I say, a lot of it's been put together, but it's going to take a lot to get it together and to keep it going on. And they need to get it going and get it done. It's going to be very difficult in these circumstances that I'm explaining to you. So this creates the perfect crisis for someone like Nathaniel Rothschild to step in. And here's what we're looking at. Here's where the Antichrist makes his move. And wait till you hear this stuff, man. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. So you see all this going on, and what's it all being set up? Because in the Bible it talks about the Messiah comes, or the Savior of Israel comes at a time like what we're talking about, where there's financial crisis, the dollar crashes. Nathaniel, and he's working on his own system, and he's a Jew, so he's doesn't want to see Israel go down. So what does he do? So that's the setup basically. And so Israel is thinking, we finally have peace. We finally have peace. We have the red heifer ashes, which is amazing. We have government approval to do it, but we're going bankrupt. Uh, but we're going bankrupt, and so it's kind of like, you know, so the government approval of the temple is like, we can't afford to build anything. We can't afford to, even though they have a lot of the construction stuff, and they're going to have to be paying people. They're going to have to be doing so. They're going to have to be doing some things. So there's going to be what you see right there, kind of a government thing going on. Those signs say that we have approval to build the temple, and now we can't really do it like we want to, and so because it's going to be costly, even though they have a lot of the materials already together, right? So uh, it creates a perfect crisis for Nathaniel to step in. So that's the basic setup. It may not be exactly like that, but enough details I'm giving you that shows you the direction that all this is going. It's not going north, south, and west. It's going east. In other words, we're telling you which direction that it's going to go. The details maybe vary a little bit here and there, but we're giving you general direction. We're giving you the direction to go with some specific information. All right. So can't afford to build it. Can't afford to put it all together, and so that's when Nathaniel appears with his family's gold reserves and international connections. This is when Nathaniel shows up to save the day, or his family, him and his family. Right. So the dollar crashes isn't just an American problem. It becomes Israel's desperate hour. I mean, it affects Israel also. Israel is, you know, really connected to the dollar and to the United States. So America can't send their usual 3.8 billion in aid because their currency collapsed. Right. Israel's traditional ally is suddenly unable to help. Right, leaving them completely vulnerable to whoever can offer an alternative financial system. Even though, and a lot of this is going to depend on how fast that Texas gets their stuff together. Y'all know I've been a little upset with it. I think they're really working on it. I think they're going to change it to what we prophesied, a couple of years ago, that the transition would happen in 2026, May, June, or July. I said that. I don't know. I got proof of it somewhere with some text. um, and it said it for the last, couple of years. I can't remember. Maybe the last year. I can't remember exactly the details on the timing. But in other words, we've been telling you the date when May, June, July of 2026. So now it's September. That was pretty close, but not. So they're going to have to move it forward, and I think that they will. I don't know anybody. Nobody talks to me about any of this stuff, but that's kind of what's going on. So this 3.8 billion in aid, which is going to come to the U.S., it's going to be, really hard for them to, uh, get that money. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be really difficult. So so I'm going to kind of leave it right there for now. But I'm trying to prepare you for the direction, the specific direction, with details. The details may not be exactly perfect in numbers exactly, but it is the direction. We're not Now we know we're not going north, south, or west. We're going east, so to speak, as an example. We're going east. So that we know, that I know. We get the red heifer ashes, that, and we were very much involved in all that, as you guys know, prophesying about it, talking about, we gave the name of the Antichrist, and 2022, September 12th, 2022. 3 days later, the red heifer shows up, which is now the big thing, 2,000-year-old prophecy, and we were very connected to all that. right? Which just kind of tells you that the things I've been telling you, that we are very connected. We really are very connected, not because of people, but because of God. And Michael, thank you, Michael, for your help. Of course, you and the Father guiding him to guide me on what to do and what to say. So it's really, really interesting. So I don't know if you're able to get that or not. That's why we're documenting it, so you can go back and listen to it. And like I said, it may not be every little detail, may not be perfect, but I'm trying to give you a run of what direction that it's all going, so that we can, as we watch it unfold, with some of the dates may not be exactly perfect, but close. We're saying 6 to 12 months. That's giving it so if I have a more specific date on that, I'll let you know. Right. And so what we're looking at here is that Israel has, in the video, Israel has the money to, I mean, they don't have, they have the approval to do it all, but they can't do it. So it's, uh, yeah. So now they can build, but it's really hard to do it because of the financial situation going on. All right, and so and the enemy, the enemy is going to be involved in it, and also God is setting it up for Nathaniel to step in and do his thing, and that's where you see Nathaniel right there. That's Nathaniel stepping in. You see him with a crown on as a redheaded kid, and then he walks up, and this is where he is beginning to come into the picture, and that's where we're going to take you in the next. I'm going to give you the first 3.5 years as much as I can. Uh, and then I'm going to give you the second 3.5 years of the general overall direction that things are going to go with some specific details. Okay, I'm trying to make that really clear. So you see Nathaniel coming up right there. He's showing up. He's got the crown on. He's been crowned since he was a kid. I'm ready to go. Just now that I'm grown, my daddy died, and now I have the power to. So now he's going to start being made known. He's going to come out from hiding, and this crisis that's going to happen. And we're also going to share with you how that Nathaniel is going to stop anti-Semitism. And did I tell you all about that? Anti-Semitism is really the big thing that Israel has not conquered ever. It's the next big thing on the bucket list of God, that God is going to use Nathaniel Rothschild to bring peace to the anti-Semitism situation. I'm going to tell you why. It's going to blow your mind. And so we're going to kind of stop right now because I don't want to blow everybody's mind too much. I'm trying to give you a little bit at a time so that it's not too much. Right. So I think I'm going to stop. I think I'm going to stop for tonight. And I've given you a lot of information. Go back and listen to it and kind of get a better handle on it, maybe. But so Israel is going to be flying their flag high because they got peace. The construction crews are preparing to at the temple site. People are celebrating. They're going to be celebrating. It's the future. They're going to be celebrating in the streets when they get their when they end all these wars, and especially the one with Gaza and Iran. So the military victory parades, they're going to have military victory parades, right? So they're going to have a lot of bright hope. Israel's going to be ready and it's preparing the way for Nathaniel to come in. But then they're going to have financial troubles. And Nathaniel's going to come along with his family and his family wealth and working with other people, especially like China and Russia. We're going to give you some details about that, about how they're all going to work together. And Israel's going to fall for it for a while because the Rothschilds have loved their country. They've loved Israel. They put their money where their mouth is, and when you do that, people really go, wow, it's amazing. So we're going to have a little financial, not a little financial. We're going to have some major financial issues, and so it's all going to be backed up with the dollar, and then the whole currency. Watch this. The temple's going to be built. The whole currency world is going to change. It's all going to be changing at the same time. So much change. it's going to blow people's minds. And people will be going like, I can't believe. And Israel's going to go from being a parliamentary voting government to something completely different. In other words, Netanyahu is not going to be in there. That's what I'm telling you. And I'm going to talk to you about that probably tomorrow night, and how that Nathaniel is going to solve the anti-Semitic problem, which is a problem that nobody has been able to take care of. He's going to take care of it, and I'm going to tell you how he's going to do it. All right, the general overall of how he's going to solve that problem, and it's a massive bit of information that I think it's blowing my mind. It's literally blowing my mind. And so get ready, y'all, because we're going to tell you things before they happen, and that's what we've been doing for quite a while, actually. And we're watching it happen again and again and again and again. So there you go. I have more, but Israel's going to be having some food problems, uh, closed businesses, long lines at the bank with closed signs. Israel shekel currency bills scattered. They're worthless. The shekel's going to become worthless, and construction sites going to be abandoned. Workers going to be leaving. It's going to be a dark, somber time for sure. And so the temple construction crisis, magnificent temple construction blueprints on the table, with the you saw earlier with the Temple Institute people uh, calculating, showing impossible costs of millions and billions of dollars to get it all done, and international suppliers canceling contracts, empty construction accounts, rejected loan applications, worried Temple Institute officials around conference tables going, here. But the thing is that Nathaniel is going to see the timing. See the timing. His father passed away a year ago, and now he's positioned. He's now getting his hands in things, being able to learn how to work things. And so look at all the timing with everything. We're gonna have a major currency change. We're gonna have a temple. We had one of those. Israel hadn't had a temple in 2,000 years. Their currency is going to change. The whole global currency thing is going to change, and we're going to have two systems, which most people still don't believe. I would say you cannot believe that, knowing the information that we have. It's unbelievable how people just say, "Oh, you're going to have no two systems." A bunch of pre-trib rapture, mid-trib rapture people like, get out of town, man. Come on, let's get this thing going, brother. Get your brain cleaned up. Let's get this going on. This is you're going to be so sad that you gave that information out to people. You're going to have to deal with the sorrow and the grief of what you've done. Those pre-trib people. So it's going to be really, really mind-boggling. And so you're going to see uh, Rothschild coming on the scene, starting being declared as the answer to Israel's financial situation. The thing is going to step up and say, "Yeah, we've been planning for this. We've been ready for this for a long time. My family has prepared for this, and we are going to. We're going to. They're going to be on TV. They're going to get on all the networks, and they're going to be, you know, the whole thing's going to be announced across the globe that we have a new system, set up." And so, yeah, so it's going to be really, really amazing, really, really amazing. And so that's kind of what's going on with all that. All right, so uh, yeah, so Nathaniel's going to come along and he's going to fix some things, as the Bible says that the Antichrist will do, right? So there's some very practical, everyday information I think for you that maybe will help you out with trying to figure out what's going on. All right. Uh, Okay, so we have people, got Nicole saying hello, Randy, and Nikki saying hello, Prophet Randy. Good to have you tonight. All right, I know other people are watching. I can see you there if you want to say hello. Got Anthony from New York saying hello, prayer for guidance. All right. Um, it's a little bit after 9 o'clock. 9-1. It's 911 right there. It was 911. Now it's 912. All right, y'all. So we are going to be talking to you about how that Nathaniel is going to change anti-Semitic warfare. That's one battle that Israel uh, they've won a lot of military battles, but the one battle they have not won uh, is the anti-Semitism, which keeps creating them a lot of pain and a lot of trouble. And Nathaniel is going to work a deal, and I will share that with you probably tomorrow night on how he's going to do that. And that right there within itself is going to be a sign that he's got some answers, for some things, much less the financial part of it. So in the currency situation, all of it being prepared, it's going to be mind-boggling, y'all. And we're going to give you as much detail as we can before it all happens, as we've already been doing, for the last few years. Uh, and that specific information is unfolding constantly. So it's really, really exciting. Um, so anybody got any questions? Anybody got anything you want to say, you want to talk about, anything you want to ask questions about? Uh, we had some people on last night that I was not able to stay on and answer your questions. I saw you come in, and so we will. If you have some questions tonight, we can take those questions and try to help you out with whatever you need. All right. So, all right, let's go here and do a. Let's do it comes from the clouds. Yeah, I'm going to do that. He comes from the clouds. Um, I know we played that song with uh, in the opening of our show and all that, but this is what I want you to be thinking of. This song that Nicole wrote, and I'm sure other people have second coming songs, but this one here is a PGN one. So we appreciate it. So I'm going to take just a minute, and you guys can uh, listen to this second coming song.
I, John, am the one who heard and saw all these things. Let all on the earth and in heaven sing. Jesus is the source of David and heir to his throne. If you find and follow Jesus, you will never be alone. He is the bright morning star. He is the God who's never far. The Spirit and the bride say, come. Let anyone who hears this say, come.
We're back tonight. Thank you. All right, I'm trying to kind of prep you and prepare you for um, what's going on. Like you're looking right there at the future of, all those people getting together and, the newscast going out, broadcasting that Israel is going to build their temple and it's all going to come together. Everything's going to be fine. And the thing is going to be raised up right in the middle of all of it. So it's going to be really, really amazing to watch and see how prophecy is going to manifest itself. Like I said, we're trying to cover the first 3.5 years as a general overall, what's going to happen with some details. And then we're going to be moving forward with you know, the last 3.5 years and some things with that. We're not going to cover every detail of everything, all right? Don't expect that. I don't think you expect that. But we're going to cover some pretty good details. So make sure you get in on that, and at least listen to the archive, so that you can, kind of get a feel when things are happening. You know, oh yeah, we already knew something like that was going to happen. Very close, something really close to that was going to happen. And so then, of course, Nathaniel is going to be rejected by the Israeli, the rabbis, because he's going to be convinced that he is the Son of God, and then we're going to talk about that very specifically, how that he's going to be very involved in the temple. The reason his family, like I said, his Mayor Rothschild, his great grandfather, something like that, um, was they have rabbis in their lineage, and so yeah, so it's very interesting how they have a connection to the bloodline of rabbis and high priests and that kind of thing. And he's going to be getting very, very excited when things come together, and he's going to, like anybody else, get the big head. He's a guy that really wants to help people. His family has helped Israel and helped a lot of people over the years, globally. They're very global-minded people, and so they're going to globally, um, be global thinkers, and that's what Israel's going to be looking for. Plus, they have, like they've always done, the Rothschilds have always done. They come in when things are falling apart, and they bring it back together. Except this time is going to be different in that they're going to go from being good people who help their own people, Israel, to when when Nathaniel becomes convinced that he's the Son of God or God in the flesh, however he words it exactly, I don't know. But he's going to then tell the rabbis, of course, hey, I just figured out, with all this great stuff going on, and we just saved Israel, and God gave us some great wisdom, and God is with us. I think I am God. I think I'm God in the flesh. I think I'm more than a Messiah. I'm the Son of God, and so Israel's going to rent their garments, and they're going to attack him, and they may try to kill him. I don't know if they try to kill him or not, but I've seen him in a casket in a dream. I don't know if that was spiritual. It may have just been spiritual, that they attack his character and attack his whatever. It's going to be a really big battle, and then all hell's going to break loose. So we're going to talk about the details on that and how all that's going to happen and the setup for all of it. You can see the setup tonight that we've talked about, beginning with the peace, which we almost have that. We're kind of like right there now with Gaza and all around Israel, which is a type and shadow of the temple being built, was a type and shadow of the second coming of Christ, actually. So that's how close we are to this thing. This stuff is actually happening, y'all. This is not just fantasy. This is actually happening, literally. So get ready. That's all I'm telling you. If you're not ready, you need to start getting ready. That's for sure. Get ready, get ready, get ready. Because the time has come, and that is it. It has come, and it's not going back, and it's not going to back up, and it's not going to stop. It's going to keep moving forward. The red heifer ashes were the biggest plunge of moving forward, the acceleration of the metal to the pedal to the metal, that we could do. Literally, that's why how big it was, and we were right. And we know that you and I are right in the middle of that, right? Yeah, we're right in the middle of that, and that is the pedal to the metal thing of this thing is moving forward fast. So whatever you got going on, get it on with Jesus more and more every day. All right, because this stuff is not going to slow down, and everything we've been telling you, we're talking about the currency, the Dallas, I mean the Texas currency for a long time, for 5 years or so, and now that's all actually the laws are passing, and it's a major, major operation. Most people don't realize what a major operation that is. The Texas people know, the governors know, and all the people in the government know what a big deal it is. But they need to hurry up, get it done. I'm telling them to get it done by May, June, July, somewhere in there, yeah, if not sooner. Right, get it done, y'all. Please get it done. Because the feeling that I get is that we're not going to be able to help Israel, and God doesn't want us to help Israel at this time. Not at this time, but at the time when the dollar crashes, it's going to be a significant red flag going up that God's saying, "I'm going to make it to where you can't save Israel." And you know why God doesn't want us Texas to save Israel or the United States to save Israel? You know why? As far as at this point, uh, because Nathaniel's going to save them. And that's why. Let me tell you something. The Nathaniel people, the people around that situation that are informed with all what's going on and preparing themselves, uh, they do not like Donald Trump right now. They do not like Donald Trump in many ways because Donald Trump is actually saving a lot of nations right now. As far as saving, I say saving them. He's helping a lot of nations, and he's kind of becoming a savior in some ways to some nations, and saving some economies, and helping bring peace. And let me tell you something: the Rothschilds do not like that at all, because that's their position, and they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that they are the ones positioned at the time. So they are working on crashing the dollar. Crashing the dollar is on the Rothschilds' bucket list because number one, Texas and the United States will not be able to help Israel. Israel will be crying out to him or to the family, to the Rothschild family. That's the way he wants it. That's the way it's going to be. It is going to be like that. You can see it all happening. It's very huge. It's a really huge time. We are in a very huge time. And if you're not aware of that, you might want to start asking God to help you be aware of it. Because I'm sure got the blood off, I got y'all's blood off my hand. That's for sure. All right. So, really, really, really cool. Yeah. The Rothschild, I sent somebody a text a couple of weeks ago. I said, hey, man, Trump is saving people. He's making war stuff. And he's being like, uh, the king or something. And I told him, I sent him a text. I said, but uh, but Nathaniel don't like that at all. In fact, he's going to do something about it, and they will. And they're very strategic, very good at working behind the scenes. And people say they don't do it. That they do it, and then they sometimes they wait for an opportunity. With like any good businessman does. Not just evil. It's a business thing. So this is really going to be a big thing, and the Rothschilds do not like this thing that Trump is doing. And in other ways, Trump is helping it come faster. But the United States cannot be positioned, and as I've talked about many times, the United States cannot be positioned to help Israel at this particular time that we are in. So it's going to come to a point where when the dollar crashes and all that stuff happens, that's why, even though the United States maybe, if they move it up to activating it in May, June, July, that's going to be a lot better. But if the dollar crashes anytime like what I'm seeing soon, it's going to take some time for that system to develop, and that's the problem with all of it, which has me very concerned. And I know they're trying to speed it up, but they should have been doing it when I started prophesying about it. 5 years ago. Well, they couldn't because they were in office, but because Biden was in office when I started prophesying about all this stuff. So, but I think they're pretty good at it, pretty much at it right now. So that's good. Okay. Anybody else got anything they want to say or talk about tonight? Pray for Anthony tonight. Pray for guidance. Thank you, Lord, for Anthony tonight, Jesus. And thank you for opening his heart, God, to show him that, favor comes in many different ways. You go with the favor with the right flavor. Get the favor with the right flavor. Hell yeah. Get the favor with the right favor with the right flavor. Flavor. Right? Get the favor with the right flavor. Right? In other words, it needs to fit you. It needs to fit you. If it doesn't fit you, don't do it. Uh, you know, look for the future. Look for the future. Don't get stuck in the past. And people who use old equipment and old things and do old stuff, that stuff's going to all fall apart, and it's going to become, basically worthless. Because every system is changing. Every system, Anthony, is changing. You name it, every system is changing. And so, uh, yeah, and because of that, you need to find your way around where there's good systems that are working. And if they're not, then don't be a part of it. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. So we're going to continue tomorrow night with the Rothschilds. I'm trying to explain to you about the end times so you can know about it. And pray for Nikki and Charles. They're getting their house going on and have a lot of things to get going, and need some breakthroughs with all that. I don't know if they've already got their breakthrough or not, but pray for them. Amen. So they've been in that trader for many years, and now they're moving out of it. Thank you, Jesus. So, but it takes money. All right. So, all right. So, anybody else got anything you want to say? You want to share anything? You get any questions? Any answers? Anything? Let's see what that is. All right. So, all right, you guys. So I guess I'm going to call it a night tonight. Been on about an hour and a half. Hey, our time's getting shorter. So if you don't have any questions and don't have anything you want to share or talk about, or then we will call it a night tonight. Tuesday nights are a little bit slower, it seems like sometimes, than other nights. Wednesdays are always really, really busy. So we'll be asking people to call in tomorrow night or to chat in, get your name in there early. And I will, even if you're not there to hear it, you can go back and listen to the archive, whether you do it through Facebook, through YouTube, or however you listen to your stuff. You'll be able to do that. Because you don't have to sit there and wait. All you do is need to check in and say, "Hey, my name's Bill. I'm from New York," or whatever, and that's all I need. And I'll pray over you, and I'll tell you. I'll put on there the time that you're in, or I'll put your name in there with doing it for you now, and you know what time it was by the time that is on the link. You see it right there. Okay. All right. Nobody has anything? Ask a question. All right.
My wife passed away. Yeah, she got pancreatic cancer, and uh, yeah. All right. Yeah, catching up a little bit. So that's kind of what's going on. Um, all right. Yeah. Been a while since I've seen you, Anthony, or heard from you. It's really good to have you. Uh, how did you find us? Did you find us on YouTube or Facebook? How did you find us? Always interested to know. All right, got a little delay on this thing. All right, y'all. All right. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Yeah, that was a shocker, actually, a real shocker. So, yeah, that really was a difficult time. So you caught us through Facebook. Okay, good. Right. How's your family doing? Or are you guys there? You're all in New York still? Obviously. All right. Okay. All right. What is your number so I can know when you? Oh, let's see. All right. All right. Let's talk to Martine tonight. See what's going on with her. Yeah, all right. Hey, girl, what are you doing over there?
Pastor Randy, did I hear you right?
About what?
Your wife?
You didn't know that Julie had passed away?
No! Oh my God! I'm so heartbroken. When did this happen?
It's been over a year ago.
No way! How did I miss that?
Exactly. That's what I was going to ask you. How did you know? I don't know.
Well, you just announced it right now.
No, I've talked about it before, but it's
Oh my Johnny!
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is news to me. I might be reacting in a certain way, but I remember her. I so remember her when you first started on in the ministry, how she used to sit with you and you guys would minister together. She was such an intricate part of, your ministry at the beginning, and I remember thinking about that. In fact, remember when I had texted you when we were sending messages about your cards, you sending messages with Christmas cards?
Messages of what? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were talking about Christmas cards.
Oh, Christmas cards. Yes, the Christmas card thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember thinking, I used to think that Julie was the one who wrote the Christmas cards.
No.
That you would dictate them to her. This is what I always thought. And I remember at the time thinking, I wonder where Julie is. I am so sorry, Pastor Randy.
Yeah,
So
no,
very
she I wrote the cards myself. She never wrote. I mean, she kept up with labels, and she'd help me. She helped me pick out the cards at different times. Yeah, but no, I did all that myself, every bit of it, as far as the writing goes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And when did this happen? Is today the anniversary?
No.
Oh, so I missed. Please forgive me. I
Okay. Yeah.
got on the live, so I just heard you. As soon as I turned on the TV, this is what I heard. So I wasn't quite sure what was stated before that. So I thought you were announcing it, like it was just happening.
Oh, I see. No, it's been a while. It's been yeah. She got pancreatic cancer, and it was inoperable, and she was Mrs. Healthy, Mrs. All that, you know, and exercised all the time, ate pretty good, and I think it actually came from the computers. Like my friend Brian, who was with Benny in ministry for, we were good friends. I talked to him in a long time either. But he died of cancer, of stomach cancer also, and he sat in front of the computer, those big, the old big computers, the desk, not the desktop, what do you call them? Anyway, so they set it there at your feet, and so I mean, I had people warning me about the computer thing affecting you like that, and I kind of believed it, but not that much. And then when Brian died, he was young. He sat in front of the computer. He'd be on the computer. That's what he did for a living. So he'd be on there for 10, 12, 14 hours a day, every day.
Was he the one a long time ago when your ministry first started? You used to have someone play music, and he died of cancer. Is that the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he was young.
Wow, I'm still in shock.
Yeah,
yes, I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had three young girls, and all of a sudden he started telling me, because I always took him to Benny Hinn Ministries. He played for Benny Hinn Ministries here in the local Dallas office. In the Dallas office, he had two offices: the Florida office and the Dallas office. So he was the worship leader at the, when they had meetings every Wednesday, and so I would take him because he was legally blind, and yeah, and he started commenting about having, problems with his stomach, and and it just started bothering him to the point where he couldn't I think he went to the doctor, and then they told him. But the same thing with Julie. Julie sat in front of, those companies that most people work for have these, the big computers that sit down there at your feet. And I really believe that's given a lot of people cancer. Yeah.
I'm just in shock. And you've just been trucking along. You've been so strong.
Well, it was a difficult thing, of course, it's just like totally mind blowing. It just blows your mind. But yeah, God is gracious to me, and He helps me go through really difficult things. And so yeah, it's been, yeah, you grieve and you don't know you're grieving. Like when one of the first songs that I wrote, the one that went really big, called the Butterfly Song, Water to Wine song. That song, I don't know if you even heard that song or not. But
I did.
yeah, okay. So that song was really big, and when I first heard it for the first time, I wrote it and got the music put to it with AI, put the music for it. And when I listened to it for the first time, I went, "Oh my God!" And I jumped up out of my seat and began to dance through my studio, prophetically dance. And I'm not a dancer, right? So it's kind of it hit me like a rock, like a ton of bricks. I'm up dancing through my studio, but lifting my hands, worshiping Jesus. I'm going, what is going on? And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm thinking I've lost my mind. And so suddenly, as I was just really getting into it, I had a vision of Julie dancing with me. It was really wild. And she was happy and she was, whirling around like she did when she danced prophetically. And I sat down and I went, oh my God. And so I didn't realize that moment was so big for me because I saw her, alive and happy. The last time I saw her, she wasn't doing good, and so so it was really really powerful, man, really really powerful.
Yeah, and like you said, these are ways of you releasing, whatever grief you may have in your heart. Just an ongoing process, and I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't. I had so much going on. It makes it a little more challenging for me to, hop on and listen like I used to. I used to be on every night.
I know,
And
yeah.
so now it's just kind of like spotty here and there. A lot of times I'll turn on your live and as I'm going to sleep because I have to get up early. And that's exactly what I did today. I just turned it on as I'm going to sleep, and I set the timer on my TV, and I heard that, and I'm like, wait, what? I gotta call Pastor Randy, thinking that you just announced it, and
No.
it was just a complete shock to me, and wow, I wish I would have known that, but you're like I said, you're trucking along and handling the grief the way you can. So she was a beautiful person, and that's one thing I always remember thinking, wow, she's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun together. We also argued. We were very passionate. Not argue like really mean, bad arguing, but we would disagreed on things. And I've talked about this many times how we would do things. We would sit there, like when I started giving words and prophecies about Marcus and Joni. I don't know if you remember any of that stuff or not, but how how Marcus was going to be taken out, and then a couple months later he was dead. And so Julie didn't like any of that. She's going like, how can you? Nothing's going to happen to those people, right? Because I was talking about merchandising, and I said they're going to be dealt with because of merchandising, not because they're bad people or anything else, because of merchandising. And she would tell me all the time, straighten. You know how you women are. You like straighten your husband out, like help us out, give us some help over here, And she would just when Joni would come on, and she knew I had prophesied that they would be calling Joni a Jezebel, and she didn't like that at all. She got really ticked off at me about that. So we'd be sitting there watching Marcus and Joni, right, or Joni, and she would holler out, when Joni would come on, yeah, Joni, go, just for me, yeah, just for me, And I would just, that's the way our life was, She was free to say whatever she wanted to say, and so was I. And so, but we would have a discussion. Sometimes it would be, a little bit heated. You learn how to fight, right? You learn how to fight.
Right.
And so when we first got married, we fought kind of hard, but then as we grew, we learned how to fight, in a more better way. So it's really nice. But then, we sat there and have our little discussion, argument, and she would look at me and she'd say, she just got mad at me for something or another, whatever it is, and telling me how she didn't like it, that kind of thing. And we're sitting there sulking, or whatever you want to call it. And she says, well, you want to go shopping? I'm going, yeah, let's go. And we go take off like little buddies, like we were best friends. And that's kind of the way our whole relationship was like. we would have definite disagreements on things and would talk about it, and then kind of have a, and it's kind of feeling mad at each other, like I can't believe you can't see what I'm trying to say, how we do. And but yet every time, sometimes I say, hey, you want to go get something to eat? She said, yep. And then we just take off, get in the van, and just be best buddies, And that's just the way it was. It was like that all the time. And so you miss that, I miss that. There's a lot of things you miss, but I have so much going on. I have so much prophetic stuff happening, especially right now, that it's been so heavily involved in, what I call the major prophetic information that God's been giving me on a regular basis. And so I if it wasn't for that, I'd probably be a basket case. I don't know.
Right, you keep busy.
Yeah, I keep really busy.
I understand that. I've done that in my life where I'm grieving over a loss or something, and I just stay busy, and it kind of helped me get through it without like falling apart.
Yeah. We have ways that we do it. Anthony just said, Anthony from New York. I haven't seen him in a while either. He's the one I told. He's the one I asked about Julie. He said those cards were super prophetic. Okay, Anthony. Thanks, Anthony. Yeah. Well, they were really difficult to do, because try spontaneously talking, speak, writing out. Just try it sometime. Just try doing some spontaneous thing with a card, which you only have so much room to write on. And you don't even know where you're going to go with it. Just like when I prophesy to people, I never know where I'm going to start or where I'm going to end up. So when you're doing that with a card, and I'm trying to write, and I'm not a very good writer, I had several people tell me, I can't read your writing, but thanks for the card. I'm just kind of
Sometimes I'm like, man, what exactly is that word?
Yeah.
But I just try to, decipher and figure it out. But I can imagine, I really can, because back in the day when I used to write, I used to send Christmas cards out. It was difficult because, like you said, you want to provide a personal message for each person. I didn't want to just say Merry Christmas. I wanted to, have a relationship with a particular person. And when I want to write a message, and it was difficult. And then not only that, but trying to do it for many people. And yes, your handwriting is going to suffer because your fingers get tired, and I can imagine it was a lot of work. I really can.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was a hit. Everybody loved it, but.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know. Nobody really responded that much, so I didn't really. And if it wouldn't have been so difficult, if I'd have just been saying "Have a nice Christmas" and "God bless you," or something like that, which I guess I could have kept doing that. But once you got used to filling out those cards, and then all of a sudden you're sending people, just a happy, Merry Christmas or whatever, I said, well, I'm not going to do that either. So, but sometimes I get overwhelmed with things and think, well, this is so much work. I mean, it's easy to just get on this show and start prophesying to people. It's really hard to write it down and on a card that you only have so much room. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Prophesying is easy for me, but doing it on a card and writing it's different. If I could have just spoken it into something, it would have been different. But when you're writing it and you're trying to, like by the time I get down to the end and I'm writing on the other side, I'm going here and writing there, trying to finish it up where it made sense, So it was really, really difficult. It was really hard. And I never said anything to anybody, this is really hard. I'm not going to it was extremely difficult.
I can see that. Like, there were times I used to, when I first started my dream journal, I used to, write down my dreams. And, with dreams, you want to be a little more intricate in how you describe it. There's the yellow house and the this and the that, just so that when you go back and read that, it makes sense.
Right.
And so I can imagine it's the same way, like, because it was a lot of writing, trying to write out my dreams. Now I just voice dictate it.
Yeah, me too.
That's when I used to write them out. It was just so difficult,
mm-hmm.
Because you want, like I said, you want to provide detail. And I know when you give words out, you have descriptions. You might describe something, and then if you're going to write the word out, how do you describe it in a way where it makes sense and
exactly
piece everything together?
Yeah,
I really can't.
it was very difficult. So I just thought, well, nobody's really commenting that much, so I'm just gonna. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
I'm
had
just
no
gonna
clue you
stop it.
wanted response back. You know, I really didn't. I don't know if that's something you would ever consider again. I know, but like I said before, no pressure. But even people with iPhones, you know, we have the voice memos. That's what I use to do my dream journals. So if I have a dream that I feel might be something significant, I'll just
Yeah.
put the voice memo on, and I'll just say it, rattle it off, and go right on back to sleep.
Yeah.
You know,
Anthony.
and you can just send it.
Yeah. Cool. I didn't know. Anthony's.
Yeah, but
We're getting this card thing stirred up. Anthony is saying right now. He says, "From yeah, this is all your fault." I'm going to give everybody her phone number so y'all can call her. But Anthony is saying the word you gave in the card made me cry, and I don't cry. I'm not a crier. I didn't know that. You know, I didn't have a clue. I did not have a clue. You know, I mean, I knew. You know, I knew it was.
You said you never got a response back. Now you're getting responses back.
Yeah, now I'm getting responses back, but I didn't. Nobody really ever responded much, and so some words I would have some people tell me that the words I gave them didn't make any sense because you're giving it like at the end of the year, the beginning of the new year, and said that didn't make any sense until about 7, 8, 9 months later, and they said everything you said started happening. I go, really? I don't know. I mean, I don't have a clue. I'm just you know, I just start talking, and you know, when it's prophetic, then it's so yeah. The hard part was putting it on a card and ending it, you know, without having to fill out 15 pages. You know, I mean, it's like it's extreme. It wasn't just that it was prophesying is easy for me. It flows with me. You know, I say easy. You know, it's not difficult. It's something I've done for a long time. So I just open my mouth and I start seeing things, healing things, feeling things, and I just start, you know, saying what it is. But writing it out, that, like I said earlier, it was just so. I mean, honestly, the pain I went through over it. I'm going, I don't know how much longer I can do this. You know, I mean, it was just because you had to do it just right to end up on the card, you know, and that was really hard to do. So maybe that was good for me. Maybe it was better for me than I thought, but I don't know. Anyway, I'll move past that.
That was, you know, then, and now you're moving on to different territory. And if you ever feel called to do it again, great. But if you don't, that's fine too. You know, it was fun while it lasted, right?
Yeah, I guess it was. I didn't know anybody. People didn't comment, so yeah, I didn't really. Yeah, when you do this, when you do things, I don't really ask for responses. I think that's why people don't respond. Some preachers, when they're preaching, they want a response from the crowd, you know, and that's pretty cool. I think, you know, they do that. It's built in that they were trained to do that. I don't really do that much, and maybe sometimes I should, but I think sometimes people just like to sit and relax and not have to respond. They just want to listen, you know, I guess. So I don't know. I've just never been a person who asked for a response.
Want to get an amen?
Something.
You needed an amen for the card.
I needed something, yeah, but nobody knew how difficult it was to do, yeah. So they're not going to, you know, I wasn't blaming anybody, as I've talked about before. I wasn't blaming anybody. I was blaming myself because I couldn't do it better. I was more mad at myself because I couldn't do it better and make it easier. Everything has to be so complicated with me. It's like, you know, I want to do it perfect. I want to do it right. I want to do it good. If it's not perfect and good, I'm not going to do it. And that's not always a good thing.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, I really, you know, appreciate it. But like I said, no pressure. I don't want to keep bringing it up and out.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna request cards from me now.
Yeah. I don't know if I will or not. Right now, I've got so much happening. I can't even.
Right.
When I started adding the imagery to my, like to what I'm doing right now with Nathaniel Rothschild and the whole end time thing, you know, that's another thing that's messing me up because it's like it takes, you know, I'm getting better at it, but you form every shape, everybody in those pictures, everybody in those videos, you form and shape all that with words. You know, with the help of AI. AI helps you do it, but even AI can't do it. You know, I have things that help me, but to do it on a regular basis, like I'm trying to do it, like every time I do a teaching, I want to have imagery, which I don't know if it's going to be possible or not. But the big words, the main words, I think we can do that with. So I'm trying to find a balance on it. Like tonight, I wasn't ready to. I was doing the imagery thing till like 7:30, 7:45, you know, and I come on at 8.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm going like, man, I can't believe how long this is taking to get it where it makes sense or helps make sense, you know. But it's a lot of fun. It's extremely. I mean, it's fun to make.
Like a challenge.
Like you're making a movie. Yeah, you're making a movie basically, and you're putting it together that when you talk about it, the pictures kind of flow. Try that on for size something, or you're just So it takes. It's taking some practice, but I'm getting a little better at it. I think.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is a new phase in the ministry, and you're providing, and I'm sure one day you might not have the imagery in the background, and someone might say, "I missed that imagery."
Exactly. I just go, well, nobody's responding to the imagery, so I'm gonna stop doing it.
That imagery.
Where's your imagery at? Oh, I didn't know you cared.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't know it made any difference. You never said anything.
Right.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, my friends and I, we always wanted to make music. I have a lot of musician friends, and we always wanted to make movies. You know, we go to see a movie or something, as buddies, we go see some movie. Hey, let's make movies. We talk about making movies all the time. And so now I'm doing it in a way,
Yeah.
because AI makes it possible. The imagery thing makes it possible. If it wasn't for that, it would be impossible for me to do.
Yeah, to produce a movie is a lot of money, and this one is free.
This one,
Except for your time.
That's
not free.
it's not free, yeah, but it's also not for the quality and the way it did. It's well worth the money you pay for it. So it's really awesome. I really like it because it helps people hopefully remember things. When you talk about things, they'll see an image of it, and hopefully it helps.
I'm certainly a visual learner. That's for sure.
I am too. I'm a big visual learner. That's why I like to watch a movie. I'd rather watch a movie than or watch. I love to watch these historical things, and yeah, I love to watch those things and learn. Because I'm an image person. When I see images, that just does something to me. Some of the prophetic words I've gotten, like the time I gave that word about Trump being being assassinated. I don't know if you remember that word or not, but in 2018, I was watching, something about Rome, all the Roman emperors, and I was just watching it. Right, it's a series, and
Oh, yeah, I
remember that.
I do.
Yeah,
I remember you talking about was it something the great some dictator.
Caligula. Yeah, Caligula was his name. And so
that's what it was.
what's so really weird about it is that I was watching that. I didn't know much about the Roman Empire, right? So I'm watching this series, and it went from one Roman Empire to the next. And so I've been watching it, and God spoke to me and said, and said some things. And so I called up Julie at work, and I said, "Hey, can you look up this?" I started talking about some things that went on, and she looked it up. And she said, "Yeah, that came up with when I did." She reached this is at work, right? She starts googling this thing, the information I gave her, and she said it came up with the Roman Empire. I said, "The Roman Empire? Did you just say the Roman Empire?" She didn't even know I was watching the Roman Empire thing. She didn't know that. She's busy. She didn't. We watch TV at night together, but when I'm interested in learning something, those things really get me. So I'm watching it. And did you just tell me the Roman Empire? Did you just say that? Because I'd just been watching it, that day. She said, "Yeah." Said the Caligula the guy's name is Caligula. She couldn't even hardly pronounce it. Caligula. And I said, no way. Did you just say Caligula? She said, yeah. Well, why? I said, I'm just now watching a movie, and the part about Caligula just started playing, and I haven't even seen it yet. It just started mentioning his name. And then you come on with I gave her some information, prophetic information I got, and was just trying to talk to her about it, hey, here's what I got, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, yeah. And she was doing research on it. And she came up with Caligula. I said, no way. You said Caligula? I said, I'm watching a series right now with the Roman Empire about Caligula. She said, you are? I go, yeah. And so that's how it all started. And God started showing me that they were going to try to assassinate President Trump. This was in late 2018. And I had a date because I had a date with it, And so I put a warning out to Trump. I said, they're going to try to kill you, man. And I gave him the date, January 24th, 2019.
How did you do that? I don't know if that's like intel or whatever, but how do you send a warning to Trump?
Yeah, well, that's it's not a private thing. Yeah, it's not really. I don't know if it's a secret or not, but it's just the way. I have people don't believe me, but I have people in major people who are in major positions listen to my show because I give major information about markets. And if you're not a market person, when I give market information, you're just like, oh, there you go, talk about markets again. I don't know what. But people who know about markets, they go like, oh, that's nobody knows that information but God. And if Chandler's saying, because they knew I had a reputation for giving market information, so I've had a lot of people listen to my shows because I give the information on my shows, right? So they pay. I've had politicians, Mike Huckabee and his daughter, Mike Huckabee's daughter was President Trump's press secretary, right? Remember that? Yeah, her name was Sarah Huckabee. Yeah, and so anyway, I can't say everything, but so I put out the word, and so Sarah gives Donald Trump that message because Mike Huckabee knew that I was a prophet. He knew that I was a prophet. Yeah. And so Mike Huckabee and Sarah, I don't know exactly how they got it to him, but they got it to him, and he stayed in the White House for about a week or 2 weeks, and came out on the day after I told him he was going to be assassinated. Yeah, he was supposed to go to Davos. He was supposed to go to Davos, Switzerland, and he changed his whole schedule because of that work. Because I said he's going to be killed. They're going to try to kill you on January the 24th, 2019. I didn't know what his schedule was. Well, they came out. Sarah Huckabee comes out on the news and said, President Trump has just changed his schedule from going to Davos, Switzerland on the 24th of January to stay at the White House to do something with the fence he was building. And he didn't even do anything with the fence, but he was hiding out in the White House where he should have hidden out. And literally, and I told him also, I said that I told him specifically, the person that's doing this is in the Secret Service. I said, you need to get rid of the head of the Secret Service. That's what I told him. And so he did. And 3 months later, he got rid of it. And then who tried to kill him when he shot his ear? What was the big news about all that? The Secret Service. When Trump got his ear shot, the whole thing was, how did the Secret Service let that guy in there? Because it was too easy. So they started, going to court with the Secret Service. I said, I tried to tell you the Secret Service is, and they go like, okay. So they found out. Yeah. So that word that I gave him, even though he avoided it by staying in the White House for January the 24th, he came out exactly on January the 25th. That's when he came out. Because that's the day, I told him they're going to try to kill him on the 24th. So we stayed in the White House security. They have a secure place in the White House. And he's a smart guy. When you're in big business, people will kill you for the big bucks. They'll kill you for it or try to eliminate you or poison you or something. So he knows that stuff goes on. So he was listening very closely, of course. And then, of course, when he got shot in the ear, he really knew that because the whole thing was about the Secret Service, just like I told him. I said, the head of the Secret Service is compromised, dude. Get rid of it. And he did. But the Secret Service itself, because I'm talking about this publicly, it may give me a little trouble, but I think most people question the Secret Service. And so when that all happened with the Secret Service, man, it was, it was shocking. I just kind of went, yeah, tried to tell you. He said, yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it was, okay. Anthony is saying here, thank you, Anthony. Randy, you would be a great mentor to young prophets. They need you, brother, desperately. Yeah. Well, I don't mentor them. If they listen to my show, if they listen to the show, I mentor that way because I explain a lot of things. That's how I mentor people. I don't have. I would never make a personal mentor. I'm just not that. I'm just not like that. I'm not very good at that personally. But so what I do to mentor people is, Anthony's asking to talk about this. So is that I just tell them, listen to the show, watch what I do, and watch what if you want to learn from me, then you have to watch. You have to pay close attention to what I do and what I talk about. So if people want to be mentored enough, they'll listen. If they don't, they won't. I don't really get into that too much because mentoring it's a massive project to say the least. So if they really want to be mentored, they can. I'm on a show 4 nights a week. If they can't be mentored by that, then they don't really want to be mentored that bad.
Is it true that if you are like a part of a particular ministry, like, okay, so you're, oh, you still there?
Yeah. No, I'm still here, but I'm not pulling up on video. Well, the truth is about it, you're either called to be a prophet or you're not. And if you are, it can help you. It can help you. If you're not, you can learn. Anytime anybody flows the Spirit of God, it doesn't mean that you're going to just get their anointing as a prophet. You're either a prophet or you're not. You're either a pastor, you're either a whatever you are, or you're not. But like I used to listen to Catherine Coleman all the time, and Catherine Coleman had a healing ministry, so I wanted to have a healing ministry like her, right? And so that wasn't my calling. It was to be a prophet. And so no matter how much I loved her and listened to her and just devoured her stuff, it didn't make me a healing preacher at all. My anointing was for a prophet. So what I really got out of her ministry was that her relationship with the Holy Spirit. I had the same kind of relationship with the Holy Spirit, that she had. Hers manifested with physical healing miracles. Mine manifested with prophetic words. So I don't know if you're a prophet anointing can help you activate and you can kind of like, yeah, it'll help you. But just the anointing in general, somebody who loves supernatural gifts, it will help you flow the gifts. It does help you flow the gifts and stuff. Yeah, but it just get on you and take you over unless that calling is really close to that person. Then it will, then because it's who you are, you're the same. You have the same exact calling as that person. It's automatic. It's on people if you connect to it. But other than that, it becomes various degrees of what you're called to do, and what you're called to do. The anointing is what helps you do it. It's like with Captain Coleman. I wasn't a healing. That wasn't my gift. Was healing. Even though I had miracle services and had some miracles happen, but it wasn't my main calling, and so it did not activate me in the healing ministry, but it activated me toward her relationship with the Holy Spirit, and it nurtured me in that area. So yeah, it helped a lot.
That's something I think I've always wanted, just have, maybe not necessarily be a prophet per se, because I think that's a high office. I'm not referring to that, but just operating in words of knowledge and
Exactly. Yeah.
just, again, not a prophet, but providing prophetic words to people. Always been something I've gravitated towards,
Yeah.
but never operated.
Right. Well, everybody can prophesy, but not everybody's a prophet. That's the difference. So there's a lot of people that can prophesy and they think they're a prophet, or they look like a prophet in some manners. But being a prophet is a whole different thing. Prophets get firsthand information first. They get the first word. Like I get information like about the Israel when Israel was going to bomb the nuclear sites in Iran. I got that information back in 2007, 2008. I saw it and I said it looked like an earthquake. When the bomb, when the Israeli bomb hit the nuclear site of Iran, it looked like an earthquake went off. I said, nah, I don't know, I can't tell. Because when I saw it, I didn't really know what it was. I said, it looks like an earthquake went off. Either an earthquake went off at the same time the bomb hit, or the bomb created an earthquake, or God made an earthquake happen to take down, Iran's nuclear site, because he was with Israel. And so, but that's not what happened. Actually, what happened in reality, what I was seeing was when Trump, first Israel bombed the nuclear sites, never happened before. There's only been one other nuclear site that's ever been bombed at all, and that was Israel when they bombed Iraq back in the 80s, something like that. And so, so it was very highly unlikely and unusual that they would actually bomb their nuclear sites. So when I gave that word 13 months before it happened, I gave it 13 months before it happened, and I explained on the word. I said it's like an earthquake went off or something at the same time. And so what really happened was, when Israel hit with a bomb, it didn't really do the earthquake thing. But what happened was 3 or 4 days later, Donald Trump sends his plane over there and drops that earthquake bomb. Actually, it was a bunker busting bomb, they called it, and that's when I realized that's what I saw, because when I saw it, it went really deep. Yeah, and I saw that. I saw it back in 2007, 2008. And then I talked about it out of the blue one night on the show. I was on the show about 13 months before it happened. I said, let me tell you about something that I saw. I saw Israel, and I explained it all. And I said, I also see the regime of Iran going down. And that's happening also right now too, which is very unlikely that would have ever happened. Just, about the same time, that I gave the word, just a few months later, it started happening, and everybody's in shock that it's actually literally they're being taken over. And I gave that word specifically and told them how it was going to happen and where, and it was going to start happening that. And that's exactly what happened. So that's prophet stuff. Prophesying. I was a first, I was the only one that got that word. It was a first word. That's what a prophet gets first word. Prophesiers, they can prophesy about anything and everything, but they don't get first words. So it's a big difference. But prophesying in general, anybody can prophesy. So getting stirred up, listening to the show to prophesy, yeah, that definitely happens. Okay, Anthony is saying, hang on a second, I'm sorry. I got other people in front. Anthony says, I believe it would be a select one or two, like Moses and Joshua and Elijah and Elisha. Your mantle needs a successor. Oh, I see. Oh, you're saying my mantle needs a successor. Hey, okay, whatever. Let me tell you something about it. Let me tell you something about that. What I mentioned earlier. Look at the Elijah and Elisha word, Anthony. What happened with that? What happened with that? You know what Elijah told Elisha? Because Elijah says, if you see me when I go up, then my mantle will come upon you. Because Elisha says, I want a double of your mantle, right? And so, what was the key to that? Elisha was so hungry for that he followed Elijah wherever he went. There was a lot of prophets in those days. They had a prophet school, all kind of things. But the proof of somebody mentoring somebody is that you can't get rid of them. You know what I mean? It's like Elisha just followed him. And sometimes Elijah would say, man, why don't you move on? Go on. Because people think mentors are supposed to be nice people who are always like really friendly and never offend anybody. But a mentor, especially when this kind of thing, you try people, you test people. to see if they really want it bad enough or not. Because if they really don't want it bad enough, it's not worth messing with them. You know, to be honest with you, as far as it actually something actually happening. So Elisha stayed so close to Elijah that he couldn't get rid of him. And so that's the true sign of a mentor relationship, the way it's supposed to be. It's not like, you know, if he shows up, then I might show up. If the prophet comes over, I might come over there. And maybe now you're gonna be like, man, I wonder when he's coming. I wonder when he's coming. I gotta be there. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna listen to his show or her show or whatever. So it's mentoring is something that someone feels called to do, and you can't get rid of them. That's the best way I can explain it, or how you can tell where somebody really has that calling, like Elisha did to Elijah. He said, "If you're with me when I go up," you know, he didn't know when he's going to go up. He could have gone up 10 years later, or 5 years, or he didn't know when he was going to go up. And so, you know what? Elisha was so hungry and so called to that, and that's why he got it, because he was there when Elijah went up. So the mantle fell down upon him. That's a very rare kind of thing that went on, because like I said, there was a lot of prophets in those days. He was the only one that got that, because he stuck with it like nobody else did. He couldn't get rid of it. Anyway,
Pastor Randy, I'm gonna let you go.
all right, thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
I just again just praying for you. I have no clue, and I'm so sorry.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. Okay, Martine, thank you so much. All right, I'm glad we got to talk.
God bless.
All right, bye-bye. So Anthony says, couldn't get rid of him. Laugh out loud. Too funny. And that's literally, when you look at that, when you literally take a look at that thing, it kind of shows you. Sometimes we'll do a little teaching on that. I'm kind of doing it right now. But people think the mentoring thing, you got to baby everybody and all that. If you got to baby them to keep them in, you might as well just, move on, because it's not worth it. It's just, they have to really want it. Anytime in the Bible, Jesus rebuked people. He rebuked Peter. He said, "Get behind me, Satan." I mean, and those guys, they were so called to what he was doing that they couldn't hardly shake them loose. I mean, they just stuck with him tight because they had a calling to stick. So people who just kind of came and went, they were part of the kingdom, but they were not part of his kingdom, the intimate kingdom. So he had John. John was extremely close to him. John was like one of those suck up little babies. He couldn't get rid of him, leaning on his breast and all that kind of thing. It was just really, John was like really hungry. He was so hungry. He was the hungriest one of them all. And, John just like didn't care what anybody thought. He leaned on Jesus' chest. He made it look like a what, but he wasn't one. He was a real man's man. And he just loved Jesus, man. Jesus couldn't get, I don't think Jesus tried to get rid of any of them necessarily, but he rebuked them all at times. So you have to really want something. You can't just be babying everybody, trying to get money out of them. Like, if I'm going to baby them, maybe they'll give me their money. That's all that stuff is nasty, and I hate it. And so either God is with me or he's not. And if somebody wants to be mentored, you can't get rid of them, man. You cannot get rid of them. And not that you're trying to get rid of them, but that's really what a true picture of a mentor relationship with somebody who really has a calling to what you're called to do. It sounds cold maybe, but it's just the truth. Yeah, and those that have that kind of passion and you can't get rid of them, so to speak, hey, guess what? Watch out for those boys, because they're going to be hitting it hard or whatever. So insightful. Thank you. He says, couldn't get rid of them. Laugh out loud. Too funny. It is kind of funny in a way, but it's really true. So is it even worth messing with them? If they come around, some people come around Jesus like John every moment of his life. I mean, John was just like, oh, Jesus, no, please don't. Oh, please, Jesus. Peter and James, they were pretty close to that, but John, everybody knew John was loved Jesus, and Jesus loved John. Everybody knew that. It was an obvious thing, very, very obvious, that they had a deep friendship going on. But not everybody has that. And then they had the 12, who weren't quite as close. Then they had the 70, and then the multitudes. So you can't really decide for people. They have to decide. They have to be. They have to have that hunger. If they don't have that hunger, then just let them go. I mean, don't try to hang on to them. If they want to come, they'll come back. Like the 70, they'd come back. They'd only go to some of Jesus' meetings. The multitudes came to less meetings, but John, James, John never missed anything. Peter and James maybe missed a little bit. The 12 probably missed a lot more, but John never missed anything. He's the one who they said the Bible says Jesus loved, which ended up being the one that never died. He wasn't martyred like all the rest of them either. So it kind of tells you something there. I don't understand it all, but all right, y'all. I'm going to call it a night tonight. That's it for me. It's 10:30, and thank you for being with us. Got any questions? Anything else? Enjoy. Good to see you, Anthony. Wow. Tomorrow night we prophesy over everybody on Wednesdays, so we will just stop everything on Wednesdays and prophesy. All you do just check in on Facebook. Just put your name up there, even if you can't stay on and listen to everything we're talking about. I will, when I get ready to prophesy over you, I will put your name in there, and I will type Anthony now. That way you know where your word's at. Okay, so you can find your prayer. All right. Okay. Great night. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for that great night work. All right. Okay, everybody, I'm going to call it a night. So appreciate you, brother, and thank you very much. I appreciate that, and thanks for the insightful word. It's really. I don't think most people, maybe too many people talk about that, but their relationship was like, man, if you're too much of a pain in the neck, I'm just going to move on. And then, so if you're really called to something, your hunger can't stop you from being a part of it. Doesn't matter what they say to you, how much they rebuke you. It's like, I don't care, man. I want Jesus. Say whatever you want. I'm stuck on Jesus all the way. All right, and a lot of people are not. If you hurt their feelings, you hurt my feelings, that kind of thing, and it just goes from one level to the next. They're part of the multitude. Some of them are not. But anyway, all right. Good night, everybody. Had a good night. Thank you for being on. We'll talk to you. We're going to talk about Nathaniel again tomorrow night on purpose, and we're going to be talking about, I think tomorrow night some more about the last 3.5 years of the Great Tribulation, how he's going to be involved in all of it, how the Antichrist is going to work, because I have information on that, and maybe it'll teach you a little bit. You can learn from it, hopefully. If not, yeah. All right. Bye bye.